for those who have just joined us here within the last 20 minutes, Draymond Green Show, take a listen to what Steve Kerr said after watching the Heat.
None of those guys on Miami are sitting there saying, well, I didn't play, or man, they put in so and so. Like, they're just all about winning. And you know this from our groups that we've had. When you have that championship mentality, every guy's bought in, every guy's just trying to win. Nobody cares about any of that stuff. You don't go into the locker room, saying, well, I should have played more. You just want to win. And that's the beauty of finding that magic when you have a championship team, is that everybody's bought in, and it makes the decisions for the coach really simple. You just go with your gut and go with whoever's playing well.
That sound like somebody who thinks he did a poor job this year?
No, but I wonder.
Sound like that to me.
I wonder if he looks at the totality of the job that he did, he would probably look at it and say, I didn't do a good job this year. I think coach is right in that term, but Steve Kerr is always going to take more blame than he is allocated, I think, because that's his nature.
But
and
would he
everybody,
mean it? But would he mean
I think
it?
he would mean it. Yeah,
you do?
I do. And everybody didn't do a good enough job because you didn't make it as far as you probably should have. Now, is it because the young players didn't develop? Is it because you didn't do enough at the start of the year to foster an environment of chemistry? Is it because the young players pouted? Is it because the veterans didn't play well enough? Or is it all of the above? I think it's all of those things in totality.
Yeah, listen, whenever there's something going on, there's plenty of responsibility, accountability to go around. I don't think there's anybody on the older side of this roster that can just go, well, I didn't do anything. I mean, Draymond Green literally punched the guy. He punched the guy. Okay, Klay Thompson, if you want to just even look at on-court performance or holding up four fingers at times, that was very odd, right? I don't know what Steph did wrong, but you know what I mean? Like, there's always, you're the leaders of the team. So if it doesn't go well, there's accountability in that. So I'll agree with you to that extent. But what he's saying right there, that does not sound to me like he's like, yeah, we did a poor job of raising these guys up. That does not sound like that. That sounds to me like somebody who's like, despite our best efforts, these dudes won't buy in. They will not buy in to a culture that has been proven correct through the years. I think that's what really rubs guys the wrong way, is you've got a culture there that has been proven effective, proven iconic. So when young players come in, no matter how talented, when they buck that system, that lands very poorly. That is very, very hard to get veterans to go, okay, young rook or young fella, come on in here. We're going to keep you under our wing here, and we love you, even though your platform is you should play more and we should play less. And you know what you're doing, and we don't know.
And that's against the backdrop of what we're all seeing, which is Miami. And if you look at Miami, you've got a 19-year veteran in Udonis Haslem who is almost 43 years old. He'll be 43 on Friday, by the way. Udonis Haslem. I know he's not playing a lot, but he's there. Kevin Love, he played a little bit early on in these playoffs, and now he's not playing. You've got Kyle Lowry, a 16-year veteran, doing his bit, his role, and then all those undrafted youngsters who are older than our guys with the Golden State Warriors, but they're doing what, Mark? They're playing their role. And even when they aren't playing, they aren't being lost. They're not pouting. They're not sulking. And so I think that's what Steve was saying in light of what we saw last night, which was Miami beat Denver? How? Miami's got Jimmy Butler and a bunch of guys I've never really heard of, and yet they're now in control of the NBA Finals?
I mean, just like you've been a parent 3 times. I've been a parent 3 times, and I'm not even saying that parents always know. Thank you. Always know exactly what they're doing. I think we most days go to bed feeling like we don't know what we're doing. However, how do you like it when the kid shows up over your shoulder while you're cooking dinner and goes, that's not the way you cook dinner. I know how to cook dinner. Well, you never cooked a thing in your life. The hell are you talking about? You know how to cook dinner. No, I know how to cook. Oh, I bet you think you know how to cook dinner. You know how to cook? Okay, show me. Show me how to cook dinner. And next thing you know, the fire department is there. That's the Warriors this year, in my opinion. That's what this looks like. These guys look to me like people who feel they're being told, I know how to do it better by somebody who has not done it better, by somebody who's never done it before. That's the rub. That's the rub with the young guys.
Right, and that's going to be impossible to fix unless the young guys have the ability to take a step back and realize, the error of their ways, for lack of a better way to describe it, and to be able to come in and change their ways and buy into what the team structure is going to be. Because if Draymond comes back, and looking at that podcast, and I was thinking about this on the drive in when we had our show call, Draymond would not have had Steve on. Steve would not have come on with Draymond Green if they both didn't feel like this thing is going to go forward and have a future. That didn't feel like hey, Steve, let's have you on one last time before I opt out and go play elsewhere. That felt to me like Draymond and Steve talking about what's going to happen in the future when they're together with the Golden State Warriors.
Draymond's coming back.
Right.
I'm gonna but
how? And in what structure, I guess, is the question.
With a new deal.
Is Steve coming back with a new deal? Because that, to me, has to be the next piece of it.
Not necessarily.
You don't want him to coach on a one-year deal.
You don't want him to.
Unless he comes out in July and says, I'm just going to do a one-year deal, and I'll decide at the end of the year, and don't ask me about it again.
Bob just did it.
But Bob's not having to face the media every single day.
A lot.
Steve does.
A lot.
Not as much as that,
not
though.
As much.
It's not even close to the same.
Not as much, but he did it.
And Bob did it voluntarily because Bob's good at it.
Well,
and so is Steve.
And because he was leaving. But, Bob tried to answer that question at least 5 times on this station alone. And he handled it. So you can do it. I get what you're saying. It's not good. But if you're Steve Kerr, if you're going to do it, be a guy that's been there. He'd been doing it for a long, long time. And in theory, you can handle it. JJ in San Jose next up on Willard and Dibs. Hey, JJ, what are you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for taking my call. I'm on my way home from work. Well, first of all, you guys are doing a great job, great show, but I'm not liking how you guys are backing up Kerr right now, or maybe more of Markey backing up Kerr right now, because everybody knows this is Steve Kerr's worst year as a head coach.
Everybody knows, right?
I didn't like that.
Everybody knows?
Knows that. Everybody knows.
Not everybody, because I'm right here, JJ.
Because let me explain.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll tell you right now. Steve Kerr is a great coach, Hall of Fame coach, and he's the first to tell you that he's been very fortunate with the team that he's had. He's Steph and Clay are even keel guys, and they're all-time legendary great. Most guys aren't like that, and now all of a sudden he's got some hot shots, and he wants to try to discipline them in a certain way. Meanwhile, if you look at the history of the Warriors, they have a history of just enabling players as long as they win. What do you think is going to happen when you got your young hotshot there? And I look at the Warriors kind of like how I look at I follow the team. I love the team. Obviously I watch them every single day. I almost make it seem like they're a part of my life. Where the pandemic rebuild, they didn't necessarily rebuild, but they definitely had to restructure. And Jordan Poole was at the beginning of that, the center of that, and he actually was a product of the restructure. And yet, they're worried about his attitude. Meanwhile, the OG attitude, you got a whole bunch of different kinds of OG attitudes. One guy is a firecracker. One guy is a kind of like a laid-back hippie who misses practice historically. Klay Thompson, historically legendary, missed the practice, and then he dropped the 60. That's all enabled by the culture, unfortunately.
Okay, so JJ, now I'm going to answer, and I'd like you to explain to me the culture in American corporate society where when you win, when you are effective, when you are amazing at what you do, you are not enabled. You don't think that happens with every team? You don't think Aaron Donald took a helmet and swung it at another human being at practice, and the Rams collectively walked to a podium and went, it's our practice. We'll handle this. When you're amazing at what you do in professional sports, Dibs and I have talked about this all the time. This idea that everybody gets treated the same, I don't know who came up with it. I don't know who's out there trumpeting it. Life doesn't work that way. Not in any family, not in any business, not in any school, not in anywhere. It's just life. If you are amazing at what you do, if you have credibility and a resume built up, you get slack. Now, please do not take that to mean that that's the right decision perfectly every time, every step of the way. Draymond punches somebody and we all walk away. That's not what I'm saying. But the idea that when you've earned a little slack, you shouldn't get it, I just think is crazy. I think it's nuts. And so you can move on with your evening knowing that everyone in the world except for me thinks that Steve Kerr had his worst year ever. I'm here to say I think there's about 12 billion things that happen behind the scenes that we know nothing about. And people who I respect and who have achieved a lot in this business are trying different ways to tell us what's going on, and a lot of us aren't listening. Bob Myers is trying to tell you something's going on. Steve Kerr is trying to tell you something's going on. Draymond, in the clunkiest way possible, is trying to tell you that something's going on, and so are Steph and Clay. And these are 5 people who have earned a damn voice. And for some reason, many Warriors fans have decided, but Poole and Kuminga, what about them? What about them? What about the 20 and the 23-year-olds suggests that just because they're here and you're excited about them, that they are automatically right?
Not automatically right, but I think that you need to, and you can do whatever you want, Mark, but I think that the sentiment is that there should be a belief or a possibility allowed that the coaches and the front office didn't do enough to help them be the best players that they could be. Whether or not it's Jordan Poole and basically being summarily dismissed in terms of what happened between he and Draymond Green, I don't think that Jordan Poole has ever spoken to how he felt about the way that was handled. I don't know if he ever will speak about the way that was handled. I know how I would feel if I was punched in that fashion by a teammate, by a mentor, by somebody who ostensibly was his brother on the team, and he was not rebuked at all, either formally or informally. He had to take a couple of days away, but he was back for ring night, and we all were supposed to move on and on to Cincinnati. I know how I would feel. Jonathan Kuminga is a different situation in terms of his arc this season, whether or not he felt like he should have gotten to play more or should have played more or whatever he felt like. I don't know why he got to that spot. Why this year, of all the years, did you have young players feel some kind of way? After previous years, you never had this as an issue.
Right. That's kind of one of the things I keep looking at. I'm not sitting here saying I do know what's going on behind the scenes.
None of us do.
Why these personalities didn't mesh. I have no idea. But it feels to me like a lot of people are pinning this on people we know, people we've watched operate for a long time.
But I don't think you can pin it on Kuminga and Poole either.
It needs to be pinned, right? So
it could be on all parties.
Well, I just said that accountability there's some accountability that goes to everybody,
right?
In almost all situations. It's just like the draft. How did Bob Myers pick that guy? We didn't pick him alone. Nobody's doing this by themselves. So there's plenty of accountability to go around. I agree with you completely. But I guess my point is, for 10 years, we've watched people act a certain way. And then new people come in, and we have a new experience, and we're blaming it on the people who we've watched act for 10 years and never act this way before. That's to me, that's a clue. It doesn't mean I know, but it's a clue. We've never watched Steph, Clay, and Dre have this reaction to young players before. We've never done that.
But what young players have they really had of this ilk?
Not of this ilk. That's fair. Jordan Poole, not of this ilk.
Yeah, James Wiseman drafted higher than any player has been drafted since, Joe Smith? For crying out loud, Mike Dunleavy Jr.?
But like Kevon Looney was a young drafted player at once upon a time with these guys. It's not like they...
Right, but he was totally different. He was immediately shoehorned as either a non-factor or a role player.
Why?
Jordan, because of the way he got hurt.
Well...
He was injured, and then even when he was healthy, he was never a threat to anybody. Jordan Poole is a threat.
He shouldn't be.
Well, he is.
Why?
Because
that's the
money
exact point.
Money time.
Well, that's on Jordan then.
Well, it's on the organization for giving him a bag before they needed to give him a bag. And that's why he became a threat.
And you can make that point, but
I think Jordan Poole was a threat to Draymond Green because Jordan Poole immediately, when he got that bag, was making more money than Draymond Green.
Yeah, but he's yelling money time, well before he got that bag. He was yelling money time because he wanted the bag.
And he got the bag.
Right, but that's the whole point. If I'm Jordan Poole, why am I coming at this group like I'm a threat? I wouldn't come in like I'm a threat. Watch the way Casey Schmidt walks into a Giants dugout, and the second he strikes out, he can't wait to go find Brandon Crawford so he could just stand next to him.
Well, let's see. Let's see 5 years from now when he's about to get that bag. It's different in baseball because Casey Schmidt is 5 years away from being 5 years away.
Maybe, and that's
because in baseball you got no recourse.
But go to any comp you want, right? Go to the 49ers young players coming in. Look what's happened to Trey Lance. He has handled it like an absolute seasoned professional.
Look at Brandon Ayuk.
Okay.
He was a guy who didn't handle it like a seasoned professional, according to many sources.
Except for when he got challenged, then he did.
Right.
Jordan, I am guessing, has been challenged repeatedly, and he won't adjust, which is why guys are getting so frustrated.
Well, when he got challenged, how did he get challenged? With a fist in the face, Mark.
Dibs, that's not the first time.
No, but that's the most dramatic time.
Of course,
and so he gets challenged by Draymond Green. And how does he respond?
And that's, again, please do not pin me in a spot where
I'm not pinning you, and I'm not saying that you're supporting that. All I'm saying is, in terms of Jordan Poole getting challenged.
But that's what muddied the whole thing up. That's the problem. If you're just going to challenge people and people are going to be frustrated and frustrated and frustrated, it's just like the example you gave me with my sons.
Yeah.
If then someone goes over the top and now they're misbehaving, well, now who's got the power? And I think that's what the guys meant all year by losing their voice.
Right.
It's like now nobody's got the power because you're all misbehaving and a season goes awry. I really like that.
But why did it go awry?
For many, many reasons.
And I think that's where, going all the way back to JJ's point, saying what he said about Steve Kerr, that is where I think that the coaches and the front office, they all failed the entire team because they allowed that incident to just stand without any real retribution. So
totally fair
if I'm
point.
Jordan Poole and I'm maybe out of pocket with my words, with my ego, with my hubris, with my money time and all the rest of it, and I get checked in a way that is way over the line.
Totally.
And I know you agree with that, and I don't ever want to put you in a position where you think that I'm saying that you approve of that, because I know you don't. Nobody approves of that. But when that happens, and it's like, we're on to Cincinnati.
Right.
How can you expect Jordan Poole to act any other way?
Okay, but then you come in heavy with the punishment on Draymond Green, and now you have handed all the power to Jordan Poole, and I don't think the organization wanted that.
I think there was a middle ground.
Yeah, I agree.
Other than, we'll see it ring night.
I agree.